This heavy equipment has to be dropped into the landing zone along with the paratroopers. This can range in size from single containers of ammunition and other supplies, all the way up to armored vehicles. The 82nd uses a variety of special techniques to ensure that the heavy loads will arrive safely in the drop zone. These troops are preparing a Humvee 5-quarter-ton truck for a parachute drop.
The rig for a Humvee consists of a 16-foot platform. That's a large aluminum platform made up of different panels, side rails, and end boards, which are just components of the platform. That's like the base. Then on top of that, put honeycomb stacks, and what those are stacks configured to help cushion the shock on impact for the vehicle. Then the vehicle is actually lashed onto that platform and onto those honeycomb stacks. Again, that's just to make sure that as little damage is done to the vehicle as possible. Then additional honeycomb is put on top of the vehicle to make sure that nothing happens to it. Then we also have parachutes on top of that, 2 parachutes in the case of a Humvee.
Especially heavy loads such as armored vehicles require special attention. There are 2 methods for delivering such loads into the drop zone.
We have a heavy drop, which normally would take 8 G11 sized parachutes, and they are loaded onto a platform and basically are pulled out of the aircraft, this opening the parachutes, allowing for land. We have a LAPS operation, which is a low altitude parachute insertion, and this is basically where the aircraft flies real low and the tank on the pallet is pulled from the aircraft and has somewhat of a rough landing, but it kind of slides across the terrain or the ground.
LAPS allows for the delivery of especially large and heavy loads without the need for so many large cargo parachutes. However, it does demand considerable skill on the part of the airlift pilot.
The C-130 will go down very low to the ground. The parachutes will come out and they'll act as an air anchor and actually just pull the load out. Now the load's on a special type of platform with a special kind of nose on it that prevents the vehicle from tipping over as it actually drags on the ground and is slowed down by the parachutes.
Delivering the paratroopers to their distant objectives is the task of the U.S. Air Force's military airlift units. An important element in division planning is the close relationship between the airborne forces and the airlift squadrons. The 82nd Airborne's North Carolina base at Fort Bragg is co-located with Pope Air Force Base, home to several transport squadrons.
Without the support of the Military Airlift Command, we would be incapable of conducting our mission. We enjoy a close relationship with the Air Force with the close proximity of Fort Bragg and Pope Air Force Base. We train literally on a daily basis with the Air Force. Without them, it would be very, very difficult for us to do our job. And it's important that we really do operate in a joint environment because of the close working relationship we have with the Air Force, because of the operations we do in conjunction with the Marines. We really operate in a joint environment.
Delivering paratroopers is not as easy as it might seem. One of the greatest concerns is landing your forces in a very tight pattern, avoiding wide dispersion. This means that the airlift aircraft need to fly in close formation. This is further complicated by the fact that most drops are conducted in the darkness of night. Six Air Force C-141 Starlifters fly in close formation. They will have to slow down to 130 miles per hour, nearly stall speed, to allow the paratroopers to jump safely. In close formation, wingtip vortices from leading aircraft are a particular danger, requiring each aircraft to fly lower than those following it. The approach to the drop zone is completely black, save a few markings. To line up on the drop zone and deliver the paratroopers requires great concentration from the Air Force crew and close cooperation with the soldiers of the Army's 82nd Airborne Division. Night drops may be difficult for the airlift crews, but they are a definite advantage to the paratrooper. The first combat jump for the 82nd Airborne since World War II was a nighttime jump in Panama in 1989.
Going into Panama was experience. This for us was a chance for the 82nd to conduct its first airborne operations in quite some time. So initially everyone that was there were young, new faces. Looking around for some sort of confidence from other fellow mates was really non-existent. Basically, what you're looking at is everybody, it's first time for everyone. So there's really no one to look at other than the training that you've done all these years prior to it paid off for us. If you have a mission and that's on your mind, jumping into the nighttime is really a plus for you. So it's more of an asset than it is of an enemy, because for one, it cuts down your possibility of getting spotted or seen. So it's basically it's a friend for you. So I prefer to jump at nighttime.
The routine of an airborne jump has not changed much since World War II. As the paratroopers wait to board the aircraft, the traditional ritual of paratroopers takes place. The jump masters carefully check each soldier to make certain that no harness is out of place, no line tangled. Burdened by the heavy load of their parachutes and equipment, the airborne soldiers struggle out to the aircraft. It's not surprising that the 82nd Airborne places great importance on peak physical training for its troops. Once aboard the aircraft, the paratroopers settle in for the trip to the drop zone. For overseas deployments, it can be over 10 hours. Inside the cavernous hold of the aircraft, the paratroopers await the signal to get up and attach their static lines. No matter how careful the planning and how thorough the training, there is always an element of danger in parachute jumps. On approach to the drop zone, the pilot signals the jump masters in the rear of the aircraft, and the first line of paratroopers are soon exiting the aircraft. With its legendary heritage of heroic exploits, the 82nd Airborne Division has been the shock force of the U.S. Army since World War II. When crises arise, the Army depends on the All-Americans to deploy anywhere, at any time, and fight upon arrival.